the Revolutionary Era of the 13 colonies of America from the French and Indian War in 1954 to the end of the Revolutionary War in 1783. It was a time of fighting and struggling for control over the land in America. Massive land struggles between the British, the French, and the colonies changed the rule over Canada and the colonies during this time period. Without this time period, there would be no America like it is today, with the ideas stated in the Declaration of Independence guiding us and unfair taxes from a mother country. Instead, we gained independence and a new nation.
During 1770, Canada belonged to the French, and they were allied with many Native Americans in the Ohio River Valley area. Unfortunately, the American colonists were unfriendly to many of the Native Americans in this area, and this caused disputes between them. Unlike the French, they did not host feasts with Native Americans, did not give them gifts, and ruined their land by farming, instead of the French and Indian way of gathering and hunting. Therefore, the large Indian tribes sided with the French. In 1754, fighting started in the Ohio River Valley. At first, the British lost many battles, including Washington and Braddock's defeats at Fort Duquesne, defeats at Fort Oswego and Fort William Henry, leading Benjamin Franklin and other delegates to ask for one general government to fight the French together. Unfortunately, none of the colonies approved the plan. The fight turned over 2 years later in 1757 when William Pitt became the leader of Great Britain. He thought that if the fight in America could be ended quickly, then conquest in other parts of the world could be focused on. He sent large payments of military supplies to the British and American troops. Soon, Louisburg, Fort Duquesne, Fort Niagara, Crown Point, and Fort Ticonderoga were captured. The defeats of the major cities, Quebec and Montreal, ended the war. The Treaty of Paris gave the British most of the French lands in North America, including Canada, and left the colonies the Ohio River Valley. There was peace for the colonies, but not for long.
An act is a declaration of something produced by the government that could prohibit something from happening or make something happen. Britain governed the 13 colonies and completely controlled them. They would tax them an unfair amount of money for things that they would need, like wood or meat. At the time, Britain was in a large debt from the French and Indian War, and taxed the colonists a small amount, much smaller than the people of Great Britain. The colonists were fed up with taxes. They wanted a say in British government and said that Britain had no right to tax them without representation. And they noticed that they thrived without Great Britain. They rebelled against their controllers by creating rebellious literature and destroying what Britain owned, such as taxed items. The Sugar Act was passed in 1764, but molasses was a big part of the triangular trade, and many people rebelled. Stamp Act taxed legal documents in 1765, which was petitioned against by delegates, and replaced in 1766. Townshend Acts taxed many regular items. Other acts, like the Quartering Act of 1770, forced people to allow soldiers' housing. Leaders like John and Samuel Adams, George Washington, and Thomas Edison rebelled against British rule in acts. On March 5, 1770, during a small rebellion, British soldiers panicked and shot into a crowd, killing 5 people instantly. Becoming known as the Boston Massacre on December 17, 1777, people in Boston threw a tea chest off 3 ships to boycott the Tea Act. And Britain sent back the intolerable acts in return. These harsh acts angered and united the colonists even more.
Our nation is at war with Great Britain. We are fighting for our freedom. Outrage has come over the 13 colonies. This is the Revolutionary War, the first war ever on U.S. turf. On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, was signed and we declared war on Great Britain. It talks about the wrongs of Great Britain and the King have done, and our right to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. George Washington is leading our nation against the British generals, including Howe and Burgoyne. The British are here, and we will need to fight them off. We are our own people, and we will secede from Great Britain and create our own country that shall respect our people's individual rights. The 13 colonies will not only grow in size, but in heart. The land we control will be a canvas for a perfect country. We will fight to free ourselves and to create a home for men and women to be free.
In the end, Great Britain was defeated by the colonies. When General Cornwall of Britain was surrounded by American and French troops, the United States of America was established and became an independent nation. If not for this era and our patriotic leaders, we would never be able to thrive by ourselves. Without this era, there would be no liberty, there would be no America.